Respected teachers, all the viewers and listeners, and my dear friends, I wish you all a very good morning. Today the topic of our talk would be India's struggle for freedom. Before that, I would like to introduce myself and my co-presenters. I am Chinel Hing of class 10. My first co-presenter is Haljoy Hing of class 9, Mukholen of class 10, Ningsang Kim of class 10, and Lamin Sang of class 9. So, as an independent country, there are many freedom fighters, and we are in the 21st century, and today we have the freedom to speak and walk around without any restriction or rules. Freedom fighters are the people who selflessly laid down their lives for the freedom of our country. Some freedom fighters choose the path of non-violence, while some freedom fighters choose the path of violence in attaining independence. Today, as we freely move around in a country without any restriction or rules on us, we feel satisfied and contented. But this satisfaction is due to the efforts and sacrifices made by our freedom fighters. There are many freedom fighters, but we won't be able to tell all the freedom fighters. So today we will be telling the freedom fighters that are famously known. Their satyagrahas, sacrifices, and tortures have resulted in the freedom that we enjoy today in our independent country. Some freedom fighters would be briefly explained by my first co-presenter, followed by my other co-presenter. So I give time to my first co-presenter, Haljoy of class 9.
I will be sharing about the contributions of the triumvirates of Lal Bal Pal. Firstly, let us start with Lala Lajpat Rai, who was born on 20 January 1865. He was an author, politician, and freedom struggler popularly known as the Punjab Kesari. However, Lalaji's greatest quality was to remain fiercely committed to India's independence, for which he is also known as the Lion of Punjab. He died on 17 November 1928 at Lahore, Pakistan. Secondly, let us talk about Bal Gangadhar Tilak, who was born on 23 July 1856. He was the first leader of the Indian independence movement. By profession, he was a scholar, mathematician, philosopher, and nationalist, popularly known as the father of the Indian unrest. He died on August 1, 1920. Lastly, to end up my topic with Bipin Chandra Pal, who was born on 7 November 1858 in Bangladesh. He was a writer, orator, a journalist that led him to be the first Indian to publish a newspaper in Indian history. He died on 20 May 1932 at Kolkata. Now I will give time to my next co-presenter, Mukholen from class 10.
Respected teachers and all my dear friends, I wish you all good morning. This morning, the topic which I'm going to talk about is Simon Commission and Swadeshi Movement Boycott Movement. The Act of 1919 did not satisfy the demands of the Indians. The Indian national leaders were demanding continuously since 1919, but it was clear that the British government will not introduce any further constitutional reforms. Up to the next 10 years, national rise during the non-cooperation movement brought up during the Chauri Chaura incident. In 1927, again, there was resumption of national movement centering around the appointment of Simon Commission. The Simon Commission was led by Sir John Simon, and it was by his name that the commission came to be known as the Simon Commission. No Indian was included in the commission as a member, and it was considered to be a direct insult to the Indians. Simon Commission was opposed by all the shades of the Indians' public opinion, and it was provided a common meeting ground for different political parties, and all Indian hurdles were observed on the day landing of Commission in India. Hostile demonstrations were held in all the major cities and towns. There were also clashes between the demonstrators and the police in several places. In one such incident, Lala Lajpat Rai was severely injured to break up the gathering at Lahore. He died as a consequence. People's wrath and angriness were felt under the circumstances. The Indian National Congress in Madras session in 1927 adopted certain resolutions which included drafting of a constitution for India. And secondly, I would like to talk about the Swadeshi movement and boycott movement. The Swadeshi movement, now known as Make in India campaign, was officially proclaimed on 7th August 1905 at the Calcutta Town, Bengal. At the Calcutta Town Hall in Bengal, the boycott movement launched along Swadeshi movement. The movement included using goods produced in India, burning the foreign goods. Bal Gangadhar Tilak encouraged Swadeshi and boycott movement. The Indian national movement began in Bengal, so the Britishers burned Bengal. When Lord Curzon, the Viceroy of India, announced the partition of Bengal in July 1905, Indian National Congress initiated Swadeshi movement in Bengal. Swadeshi movement was launched as a protest movement, which also gave a lead to the boycott movement in the country in 1909. The movement had spread across the country, and people had started anti-partition and anti-colonial movements. In Andhra Pradesh, the Swadeshi movement was also known as Vande Mataram movement in 1910. There were many secret associations that had been set up, and there were many revolutionary movements, which were synonymous to Swadeshi movement. Later movements by Mahatma Gandhi from 1915, such as Satyagraha movement and non-cooperation movement, etc., were based on Swadeshi movement. Now I call my next co-presenter, Ning Sangkim of class 10.
Good morning, everyone. Today, the topic which I'm going to talk about is Mahatma Gandhi, Subhash Chandra Bose, Jawaharlal Nehru. So, after the Simon Commission, Swadeshi and boycott movement, there is an emergence of Mahatma Gandhi. As you all know, Mahatma Gandhi is one of the famous freedom struggle in India. He was born on October 2, 1869 in Porbandar. He was an Indian lawyer, politician, social activist, and writer who became the leader of the nationalist movement against the British rule of India. As such, he came to be known as the father of the nation. Gandhiji started working on non-violence. Due to his effort, India got freedom from the colonial rule in 1910. Gandhiji, he always favored the truth and honest. Gandhiji, he died on January 30, 1948. Let's move on to the next freedom fighter, Subhash Chandra Bose. Subhash Chandra Bose was an Indian freedom fighter and one of the causes to Indian freedom. He was also known as Netaji. He was the president of Indian National Congress, INC. He attempted to get rid of the British rule of India in World War II. He was also a participant of non-cooperation movement and a leader of National Congress. Subhash Chandra Bose, he was born on 23rd January 1897 in Calcutta and died on 18 August 1945 in Taiwan by a plane crash. Now let's move on to the next freedom fighter, Jawaharlal Nehru. Jawaharlal Nehru was an Indian activist and subsequently the first Prime Minister of India, as well as a central figure in India politics, both before and after independence. Jawaharlal Nehru, he was born on 14 November 1889 He is also known as both politician and freedom fighter. His passion for India's freedom was from the influence of Mahatma Gandhi. He was also known as one of the principal leaders of Indian independence government in the 1930s and 40s. Jawaharlal Nehru, he died on 27 May 1964 in New Delhi. Now I will start for my next co-presenter, Lamisa from class 9. Thank you.
Respected teachers and all my dear friends, I wish you all good morning. Today I will talk about the movement taken by Mahatma Gandhi. This non-cooperative movement, civil disobedience movement, Quit India movement and Dundee March. Non-cooperative movement. The non-cooperative movement was launched on 4 September 1920 by Mahatma Gandhi with the aim of self-governance and obtaining full independence as the Indian National Congress withdraws its support for British reforms following the Rolak Act of 21 March 1919 and the Jallianwala Bagh massacre of 13 April 1919. Through non-violence means for ahimsa, protesters who refuse to buy British goods adopt the use of local handicrafts and picket liquor shops. The ideas of ahimsa and non-violence and Gandhi's ability to rally hundreds of thousands of common citizens toward the cause of Indian independence were first seen on a large scale in this movement through the summer of 1920. Civil disobedience movement. And the observance of the Independence Day in 1930 was followed by launchings of the civil disobedience movement under the leadership of Gandhi. It began with the famous Dundee March of Gandhi on 12 March 1930, and the form of government under which they would live through the Congress had failed to achieve its objective. It had succeeded in mobilizing vast sections of the people in the second great mass struggle in the country. It had also adopted radical objectives for the transformations of Indian society. Quit India movement. Quit India movement, also known as the August movement, was a movement launched at the Bombay sessions of the All India Congress Committee by Mahatma Gandhi on 9 August 1942 during World War II, demanding an end to British rule in India. In 1992, the Reserve Bank of India issued a 1 rupee commemorative coin to mark the golden jubilee of the Quit India movement. Dundee March. Dundee March was launched on 12 March 1923. Finally, India got its independence in August 1947 after a few years of salt march. But we can't ignore that the movement raises international awareness of the injustice done by the Britishers in India. Methods of Mahatma Gandhi paved a way for freedom struggle and became the famous figure around the world. Thank you.
So, coming to the end of our talk, my first co-presenter positively talk about Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Lala Lajpat Rai, and Bipin Chandra Pal, followed by my second co-presenter, who talk about the Simon Commission, Swadeshi movement, and the boycott movement, and followed by my third co-presenter, who talk about Mahatma Gandhi, Subhash Chandra Bose, and Jawaharlal Nehru, followed by my fourth co-presenter, who talk about the non-cooperation movement, the civil disobedience movement, the Quit India movement, and the Dundee March. It is because of all these many unsung heroes, we can live in a free country. Whether their contribution was big or small, it is important because they were not trained or prepared for war. They stood against the Britishers so that their country and people could experience the joy of freedom. Freedom fighters triggered and motivated other peoples to fight for the contribution of their country. They made people aware of their rights and privileges. These freedom fighters are the strong pillars of the freedom movement. And even the common people also played an important role because without the common people or without anyone to follow, the leaders alone could not do anything by themselves. We must come together and not let communal hatred divide us. Our unity will be the best tribute to them, because in the end it was the purpose of their sacrifices. There may be many heroes that we haven't mentioned, but each and every freedom fighters had played an important role in attaining independence for our country. With this, I conclude our talk. Thank you.